This is the first time when the game gave me actually a hint of how long amount of time it has taken for, or from the final war of the game, from the evacuation that is actually only really explained. Actually, does Adam explain that in the introduction cutscene, like when we are traveling to 87? No, I don't think he does. He just explains what the area is and the state of the destruction in 807. Yeah, that's what he talks about when we are in the tetrapod flying. Yeah. So even he doesn't explain it. It's mainly told by these, and then some later dialogue with the characters. I'm thankful I lived through this hell for decades. 4 decades. Eve Protocol begins. Now here is another thing that has never made clear by the game, not in any single one of these memory sticks that I read on the previous playthrough, or on the documents either. The unanimous name for the, well, I can't really say Eve Protocol members, but the Andro Eidos enhanced hyperbody androids that we represent as the angels from the sky, they are only referred as the angels by the legionnaires as well as the surviving enhanced and normal humans. They are not referred as the Eve Protocol very often. Only a very few times, like actually a few times, maybe like 4 times on those documents, they are called like Eve Protocol specifically. So, like, why is this important exactly? Well, Lily's name is obviously not, you know, Eve. She's Lily, but her name could be Lily for few reasons. It could be because of the generation. She's part of the 2nd Airborne Squadron. So that's how many years before us? How many decades before us? I don't know, the game really doesn't really explain that. The only thing between Lily's 2nd Squadron date and us is the fact that we know from the playthrough, the previous playthrough, that Lily, as well as Iberis, her other surviving partner, they were living in the ruins of the Eidos, like, what is the word, Eidos sector, I guess I could say, yeah, in the Eidos sector area for an uncounted amount of years, and long enough apparently that Iberis's body cell became either damaged or just maybe it deteriorated over time for some reason. I don't remember exactly what Lily's dialogue about it was. I'm gonna have to remember when I get to that point in the game again to close this one, but it was either it malfunctioned, it either deteriorated, or there was some kind of degradation over time. And then she fell into the deep slumber that we find her as later in the game. And that gives us a hint that at least Lily was surviving in Earth, in Eidos, the sector area, for I would say at least a few years minimum. So that's pretty much guaranteed that she was living at least a few years before our turn. And is few years enough for Raven's character arc to change to the Raven that we find her as in the game later? Like, when it was like 100 or something days from her deployment, she was still very much like herself when it came to like her professional like demeanor that we find her in the holograms. So she was still like mostly like her old self with how she behaves. Not the way she thinks, but the way she would still behave. So that would be just 1/3 of the year from her deployment. So would she be able to, well, degrade or degrade her mental stability to the state that we find her in the game in only after a few years. Yeah, that could be possible. However, here's a problem. Raven says in her dialogue that she used to serve him, referring to the Elder Knight Tiba, aka Adam in this instance, for a long amount of time. Now, what is that long amount of time exactly? I don't know. The game doesn't specify. So that long amount of time could be a decade. It could be even a few decades. But we already know that from that previous memory stick that just explained that I'm glad that I survived these several decades. Was it several or... Let's see. Hell, 4 decades. Yeah, but that's talking about EVE protocol. I don't think the other squadron members were EVE protocol members. Were they? I don't know. The game does not specify. The enhanced humans that they send are just called unanimously angels as first and foremost. So, Raven... That was her code name, right? I think on the very first hologram she codenamed herself Raven. But here's an odd thing. Here is a very odd thing. So... Raven had a couple other colleagues that also survived with her on the descent. On the first 2 hologram messages that we hear from her. Especially the first one. And her colleagues' names are different from hers. But they are also fighters to my understanding. I'm just gonna assume that they were also fighter androids. But why do they have a different codename? The reason as to why they have a different codename could represent the idea that the EVE protocol is only for the Squadron 7 androids. So that would mean that we are the only EVE protocol that has ever existed. So the airborne squadrons from 1 to 6 could actually be just different protocol altogether. It's possible. But once again, the game does not explain that. So, I think we kind of have to be in the not knowing a little bit. And just figure it out eventually, the more of these I read. I wonder how good this is. I never tested this fixed damage. Adds fixed damage to combo attacks. Does this always work on every single attack? Because combo attacks is basically like everything. Like, it's literally considered a combo if I do like 2 light attacks. Because even that builds up to a combo. So at which point does this kick in and start doing damage, you know? I maybe need to test that. But yeah, I changed the costume because I wanted to see this... Oh yeah, there's something underneath, it's in there. Polymer material apparently. Yeah, I changed the costume because I wanted to see this highly entertaining and erotic moment with this costume. God damn. I remember when I saw this the first time, I was like, holy shit, man. Like, this game really like exaggerates Eve's like sexy features Like that one, that is very apparent.